Hello, this is a tough video, a telefriend video, this time on the topic, the different levels of access to kind of humanity into our body. And the trigger is the Corona boost, because with the Corona crisis, we actually have a boost of, that is at least worth 20 years of access to human data. So where is a human, how does he behave, and so on. All that data is now available via applications and by people giving that to the government and the organizations, and then also access to the genes via the blood. And I want to kind of briefly sketch the human. So there's the human. He has basically three brains, and you have the intellect, which is the knowledge, the neocortex, knowledge. So it's internal thinking. It's the thinking machine here. Then you have the limbic system, which is like for social acceptance. Am I part of the group? And I want to be socially accepted. And then there's the reptile brain, and the reptile brain is responsible for kind of survival. And in case of fear, it triggers external thinking. Then we want a leader and I later come to this graphic here, the interactions between which types of people, like at the same level, or leaders and dictators and so on. And so fear triggers that you have to do that and think that what the leader tells you. Instead of internal thinking, what you usually do, you do external thinking. External thinking is very dangerous because it means you cannot reason, you can only believe. And that is why if a believer has external thinking, God and the priest and the guru, they tell him the book, it says what to think, and knowledge is internal thinking. Obviously, there's always a mix of the two, and now there are people that are believers and there are people that are more thinkers and knowledge people. So now the things that was the brain, and the brain means if you want to have access to the brain, put it in fear mode, and then it triggers external thinking. While if you don't have fear, or somebody is fearless, which you can train, and it's a certain way of feeling, way of conducting your life, that you have little fear, and then you usually do internal thinking. It doesn't mean that internal thinking is better than external thinking. So if your leader is really good, like Plato said, or Socrates said, that you have to choose the good leader, then that could be fantastic. You have a wise philosophical leader that is better than my own thinking, then excellent, that's good. If the thinking of my leader is better than my own thinking, that's good, then I'd rather do external thinking. That's not bad. But usually it's, there's this dynamic in it. So if you always allow people to think for you, then they will eventually start. First, your potential to think will diminish, will get less, and the attraction, the attractiveness of putting some thoughts into your brain that are in favor, not of you, but of the one that puts the thoughts into your brain is very high. So, there's a chance that he'll try to do that, influence you. Okay, now what access does the, for example, I put here the different, 4 types of industries: the tech industry, the food industry, the medical industry, and the military. So these are huge complexes, industrial complexes, and they have several interest groups. They have lobbyists. So that is one of the biggest problems. Lobby, which means that the lobbyists then influence the government, that then makes laws, that then helps them to actually become more powerful. Now, these ones want to get access to, first, your brain, okay? Trigger external thinking or confuse you and by information, and give your brain, even if it doesn't have fear, give your brain wrong information, and then your brain thinks wrongly and so on. Also, you think internally, your brain comes up with the wrong conclusion and so on. So like CO2 and global heating, warming, and the threat that comes from other countries, and like, I don't know, Korea attacking, and then Vietnam 50 years ago, the Korean War, and all these things were so dangerous people, and we have to fly 20,000 kilometers to another country and fight we don't even know them, and they don't even know us, but you do that because the military wants to start a war, and that has always been like that. Okay, just a sidetrack, but I wanted to go to the trigger Corona. So what Corona has allowed is that humans are willing to give access to the blood system. So, and whatever these guys, and in the case of Corona, it would be mainly the medical industry that wants to have access to your blood. But watch out, there is one thing. The tech industry designs the genes on the computer. So it's computer-generated genes that can make it in the blood system that then goes into your body. And then, because the body is like a computer, you can actually compare human and a computer. The human is an active machine or active organism, and the computer is an active organism. It executes codes, and the code and also the human. It's every cell execute code that is given in the genes. And so if the tech industry produces the genes together with the medical industry, then they can put whatever into here. It doesn't mean that it has to be bad. If these guys are the happy guys, they are very friendly, they laugh all the time, and the medical industry are very pleased that they can help us, then obviously you can put it in. What if somebody is a kind of a mean person? He could make sure that you get some wrong information, so DNA, into your body, so that your genes produce something, your metabolism changes, your immune system changes, and so on. I don't say that this will happen, but like with the nuclear power, you have nice nuclear power plants that produce relatively clean, if CO2 clean, and it doesn't pollute the air and so on. It pollutes and has a risk attached to the radiation. But and then you can also build an atomic bomb, and kill lots of people, or wipe out the population. That's the same with these genes, or with the information you put into your blood. And there are many other things. So, for example, when you look at AI, artificial intelligence, that can be used for positive things, yes, and it can be used for negative things, yes. So, as always. And therefore, we have to be a little bit careful. And now, what happened is that humans allow people, yes, that may be friendly, to put some artificially generated genes into their blood system. So that's nice. So the cells inside the body produce something that these guys that build the genes that these guys want them to do, or hopefully want them to do. We don't exactly know the side effects, but let's hope all goes well. Now, obviously, the same has happened and is happening with, for example, the food industry. The food industry wants us to put stuff, for example, lots of sugar. I should write that in red. Lots of sugar into the system, lots of smoothies and so on. And then you put that in here. And the people are very happy because they have lots of sugar, so they are happy. And then also the medical industry is very happy because then the metabolism, they get fat, and they a thick butt, and everything hangs full of fat. Also, they eat sugar. They don't eat fat. They eat sugar, and the body produces fat. Nobody ever thinks about eating fat and leaving the sugar away, which would be, especially in winter, much better. Ketogenic diet. So that's these three chaps, from food, medical, and tech industry. And now, one of the things we see now after the corona or during the corona crisis, that the military now starts to say that the Russians are really, really dangerous. If you look at Putin, he always says, please talk to us, and so on. And the media, so the media now tells everybody that the Russians are really, really bad guys and bad guys. So the military prepares for at least selling more weapons to, some countries, maybe the Polish or the Germans and so on, and the US. So military industry booms because the media says that Russia is really, really bad. So they tell the people here, they put it in the brain, and the people think themselves. The people may not be really afraid, but they think, oh, yes, they are being the Russians. They are really, really mean. Yes, we have to buy weapons. And then you do that for 10 years, and so on. And then the mothers and fathers will send their kids, as soldiers into the war. And it doesn't, they like that they then rest in peace. They have fought for their country. But in the end, it was just the military industry that just wants a war. They just want to earn lots of money, because this is lots of money. This is like thousands of billions of dollars, and also medical industry is about 1,000 billion per year, and the food industry is around this, and the tech industry as well. So these ones are really big beasts, and if you can make a lot of money, then obviously you go, and here we go to kind of the relationship between people, so men and women. So they would probably work here on the reptile brain, on the limbic system, and so on. And the interaction between the parent-child interaction is also something. Here's the food. Also, they will say what the kids should eat, what the family will eat, and so on. And so this is the different interactions, and friend to friend, they kind of talk to each other, and then boss to the employees. And now here the boss, the big boss, will obviously make sure that these guys behave like he says, and the leader, the governments, the dictators, the companies, huge companies, the multi... There they are. They influence via the media. They influence people to do what they want to do. The elites, which control the companies and the governments, and these are the kind of the former kings. And they're still, we had 100 years ago, we had the kings that were the rulers and so on. They were very powerful, but a lot of people say, oh, they were very mean and so on. But thank God now we don't have these kings anymore. They are not mean anymore. But the thing is, humans have not changed. So there are still kings around, but they are now called elites or bosses of companies, or they are dictators, or they are in the governments and so on. So this kind of people are still around, controlling the world and doing their thing, and they are still as cruel as the dictators and the kings have been before. It's just that they control tech, food, medical, and military industry. And cruel means the medical industry is not interested in having 1 billion very, very healthy people. They want to have 1 billion very, very sick people, because then they make more money. And the military wants to have a lot of war so that they can sell a lot of arms. And the food industry wants to sell a lot of food so that people eat a lot. They eat breakfast, they eat a snack, they eat lunch, and then a snack, and then a smoothie, and then a cappuccino, and then, they want to sell you that. And so we see that most of the people carry 10, 20, 30, 40 kilo overweight around, because the food industry wants to make money, and the tech industry wants us to use smartphones and computers and all that, and communication paths and all that, videos, and watching news all day long, and so on, watching series all day long, producing films and so on. So they all have an interest. And obviously the consumer actually takes their services, because these guys tell the consumer that they are needed, and so on. They need to buy this medicine, they need to buy these sugary drinks, they need to buy the communication equipment, and so on. And that is how the world works. And this is not bad or good, you know, as Shakespeare says. This is just as it is. And the interesting thing is the corona crisis actually boosted this access to blood and to data, so to medical industry and for tech, by, I would say, 20 years at least. So that's my point. Comments are most welcome. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.